Hi guys, my name's Adelaide and welcome to Adelaide Stitches. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about cross stitch. Today I thought I'd just like to come on and have a bit of a chat about a topic I've been asked about a lot in the last month. So I have just finished my 31 days of Halloween where every day I stitched a block and I got this complete, which is very exciting. And I also, after doing nearly every block, I think every block except for one, I would then also go on and stitch on another project. So I did an awful lot of stitching. And a lot of people have asked me, how did I stitch so fast? Especially some of the blocks, like this one, I'll remember for a long time, that was 1,024 stitches. And I did get it done in the day that I had to. So I thought it'd be nice to come on and have a chat about how I cross stitch fast. I wish I had the life where I could just stitch all day, but that's not for me at the moment. I have 3 little kids. While I was stitching this through the month of October, there was school holidays for the first half of it, and then the second half they did go back to school, but my youngest is still at home with me all the time. So generally my days would look like I get up in the morning, I'd film my daily vlog that I was doing in October while my husband got them breakfast, then he'd go to work and I'd be with the kids. If we were home or if they were at school, my little one would try and have a nap in the middle of the day. Sometimes it's wishful thinking, but if he did, he'd try and sleep for 30-40 minutes and I would work on getting a number done. So I guess that was my first bit of stitching for the day. So for example, if I was doing block 4, I would try and get the 4 done in that little snatch of time. And then really the bulk of my stitching is done at night. So after the kids go to bed and I have that kind of, if I'm not doing anything, that stretch of a few hours, usually 2. I finished that one, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night. So that was probably more like nearly 4 hours getting that done. But yeah, that's kind of my routine and how I fit it in. Also, I do uni, so I have study and exams and stuff like that as well. So yes, back to the topic of this video, how I cross stitch fast. So I thought today that I would like to cover, I've got notes, so I'm all prepared, fabric, threads, the needle I like to use, the pattern, what do I do if it's a paper pattern or my preferred method, the PDF in Pattern Keeper, how I stitch in hand, and even though I stitch in hand, I do both the English and the Danish method, and finally, how I finish, and I guess how my finishes look. A lot of people talk about tension with stitching in hand, so I also want to show you some pieces that I'd finished and how they looked and how I was quite happy with how they came out. So that's our plan for today. Okay, so let's get to the first topic, fabric. Really, my one requirement for fabric is that I like it soft. I guess it's because I stitch in hand and maybe I also feel that the needle glides through quicker. Maybe that's it, but yes, that's what I find. I enjoy it soft and that keeps me stitching faster and longer. So my Halloween calendar was stitched on 32 count Vintage Stormy Night Lugana by Zweigart. Lugana is the name of their Evenweave, and as you can see, it's looking quite even, and as I guess you can also see, it is very soft. I can just scrunch it up. It hasn't got that much body to it, and that is really helpful when you're stitching in hand because that is effectively what you do. You scrunch it up and you stitch it. So that, I guess, is my first choice of fabric. I do have projects with different fabrics on the go, but usually I soften them. For example, I have this is Holiday Glow by Satsuma Street. I'm stitching at the moment. It is 14 count Aida, which, can you see the big squares and the big stitches? But I really enjoy stitching it and I stitch it in hand because it is soft. Now I dyed this Aida myself. So I rinsed it before I dyed it, which did get rid of some of the starch, so that definitely softened it. But even when I had it drying with the dye in it, I still felt that it was too hard for what I liked. So what I did is it was still damp at this stage. I put it in my tumble dryer on low with some towels, and guess what? I have a lovely soft Aida I can scrunch and stitch really nice in hand with. You can do other fabrics. At the moment, I am stitching 324. I've started on. You get a sneak peek before my stitching update. In the last week, and this is 36 count linen. I'm doing it 2/1 full cross. So it is a bit smaller, and this is probably the stiffest fabric I'm working on at the moment. But saying that, scrunches pretty well. It's not bad. I've definitely had linens, I think they were Perman, that were super stiff and like basically you were kind of folding to get anywhere near your stitching because they were so hard, and they are not for me. So really, I think how I cross stitch and to cross stitch quickly, I like my fabrics to be soft. So that's my first recommendation. Okay, let's go to threads. Now I am a DMC girl. It is what I use. I do think it might make me a bit quicker because I don't have to worry about variegation, and I can stitch either English method, which is when you do one full cross at a time, or Danish method, which is where you do the rows, where you go one leg all the way along and then another leg all the way back, as I like. And I will be inserting a video later with my stitching and how I do both of that. So with my DMC threads, I like to have them on floss drops. I find that the quickest for me. Sorry, just getting a needle. I like it this way because I can, let's see if I can do this on camera. Just grab a thread. It is easier when you have it down. Just grab a thread and pull. And there we go. I've got my thread. Because I'm using 2 strands, I put the ends together. I don't know, can you still see that? Hope you can. And forgive me, I do lick my threads. I just find it makes threading the needle a lot easier. Hopefully I can also do that on camera when someone's watching. There we go. How do we go? We're in. I did it. So that for me is just so much quicker than bobbins. And then I also always start with a loop start. So I always find that pretty quick too. So that is when, can we say, so you pop your needle through where you want it. This is just scrap fabric, not an actual piece. And then because it's even weave, I would count and not do the next square diagonally, but do the one after that. I'm just going to check I've got it in the right place before I show you. Here we go. So, I don't know if you can see. Sorry, it's a really grey day today. Really grey day today, so the light's not the best. So yep, as you can see, have it there. I pull it through. This is my back. And as you can see, I'm not going to go all the way. Because it's in hand, you can very easily just turn your fabric and look at the back. That is a lot quicker, I find, than having it in a hoop or a Q-snap. Pop it through the loop and pull, and there we go. My cross stitch is secure. It's really quick. And then I just bring it through to where I want the next stitch to be. And off I go. So that is the threads I use. That is how I start. That is why I put them on floss drops, the kit, if I want to start it pretty quick. And I find that really helps me. Now, in terms of how I put them on floss drops, I know most people know this. You can skip if you like. I thought I'd also try and show you this, so wish me luck. As you see, I have my DMC skein here. Usually I pull from the bottom, so I've got that thread. And sometimes if you just want one thread, you can hold it and very carefully pull. Actually, I guess I could show you that now. So you've got it. Usually I make sure it's like an elbow length. Yep. So we'll get that in the frame. I'm happy with that. And then you cut it. So that's if I just want one. So for example, I'm just kitting up a small project, and then what I do is I would just get my floss drop. These are ones my dad 3D printed for me, and I'm trying to put my whole DMC set on it. And then you just pop the loop through, a bit like the loop start actually. Flip through, and there you go. And you're ready to go, and you can pull if you like. So if it's a big kit, then I will do a full skein, but if I don't need much, then that will do. And I still would just put the skein back with the rest of my DMC collection. So yeah, I think that is everything about threads. Okay, next thing is needles. Just generally for me, I like size 26. I find size 24 too big. Size 28, I find I get hand cramps. Maybe it's the way I stitch because I'm stitching in hand and trying to do it fast. But yeah, it doesn't work for me. So no matter the fabric, whether it's the 14 count Aida or the 36 count linen, or my favorite, the 32 count Evenweave, yep, I use a size 26 needle. Generally in brands, I like John James, I like DMC. Bowen, I really find hard to thread. I don't know why. Maybe the eye is just a bit thinner or a bit smaller, but I do struggle with that. But apart from that, yeah, that's how I feel about needles and what I use. Okay, so on to patterns. I am at the moment stitching Caterpillar Cross Stitch, Christmas Wonderland. And this is a sale from last year I'm trying to finish. So I am indeed stitching it fast. Now, the reason I'm talking about this, and I'll show you, I'm really nearly there, another sneak peek. I've just got the bottom to fill in and we're done. This is on 32 count pearl grey Zweigart Lugana. It was on a kit I got, and this is a pattern I could not get into Pattern Keeper. So effectively it's a printed pattern. Thought maybe if I could show you the back, there you go, you can see it. And what I do is I get it printed on A3, and that just helps me see it so much quicker, and that way I can stitch it faster. So that's what I do for paper patterns. I always try and blow it up so it's really easy to see. I wish I could show you the chart, but I can't, but you can get kind of a good idea of how it looks from that and how big it is. Generally, if I can, I will put everything into Pattern Keeper. That is what I like. I have a little tablet, and as a quick side note, I'll just talk about what I keep it in. So my Happy Halloween project I kept with my tablet in this little bag. So it's a little project bag I made, and it was fantastic because as you can see, it just about perfectly fits the tablet size. And then I could have my stitching and my threads. It's small enough so it could go in my handbag, and that made it portable, and that also helped me get more stitching done quicker. If I was going to my parents, I could just fit this bag in my handbag, and if some stitching time came up and they were playing with the kids, I could make the most of it. So just a quick side note, I am a big fan of the small project bag. And actually, if this is A3, so this is A4, I'm in Australia, sorry, these is why I'm using the sizes that I am, as you can see. But A4 is approximately the same size as a letter. As you can see, the bag is just a bit smaller than that. So that's kind of my favorite size project bag. All right, back to Pattern Keeper. Give me 1 sec, I'm just gonna let my dog out who barked then, and then I'll be back with you. Sorry about that. Okay, so I was talking about Pattern Keeper. So this is it. As you can see, I have my patterns on there. I just, this isn't a tutorial for Pattern Keeper, but I just want to show you why I love it and why I think it really helps my stitching. And I was so excited to find that tiny Modernist patterns could be put into Pattern Keeper, because I think that's really one of the reasons why I finished the calendar in a month so quickly. It made a big difference. Oh, it helps if it doesn't log out. Here we go. So I'll click on the Halloween calendar. Now I don't want to really like show you the pattern as to speak, but I'm sure if I show you this tiny bit of it, it won't really make a difference. And this is what, okay, Pattern Keeper looks like. So this is the number 17. As you can see, the number I have highlighted, the squares I have highlighted with the green circle that I have stitched. there was 550. So that to me is the #1 game changer for Pattern Keeper. I can just click on a square or a symbol and it will immediately tell me what color, DMC color I should be using, and not flicking between a chart and a key is just absolutely wonderful. I love that. Because I stitch quite often from a DMC master set too, I'm not going to go through and put the little symbol for each chart on my floss drops. That would be really time consuming, and yeah, once I finished it, it would be that chart, it would be pointless. So I love Pattern Keeper because I can click on anything. So up here, as you can see, it's flicked to the frame, and there you go. It's 939, the color that they used in there. That was their darkest color, which I actually used 310, but every time I clicked on that, it would come up and I would know, oh, that's what I'm meant to be stitching. As you can see, there's a whole lot of zeros because I have finished this pattern, but if I hadn't, it would come up with the stitch count and tell me how many stitches I had left to stitch to that color. It lets me highlight, it lets me zoom in, and then it also has the statistics at the end. 0 stitching for this pattern today because I finished it, but it does tell me that it is 16,842 stitches out of 16,842 and is 100% complete. So I love Pattern Keeper. I have it in a tablet stand I usually sit it in, and off I go and do some stitching. I think that really does help me stitch fast. And as I said before, tiny Modernist patterns being available in it is fantastic. Yeah, big game changer for me. So that's how I stitch from the patterns. Next, I was going to talk about how I stitch. So I stitch in hand. As I guess you can kind of see from my scrap bit of fabric, I kind of scrunch it up and put it in and off I go. I actually filmed when I was stitching this, and I filmed when I was stitching the ghost square, number 29 down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and insert the video clip with a voiceover to point out what I'm doing. I thought it was a good clip because it shows me stitching the English method. I've started a new thread, I'm stitching the English method, and then I flick over to the Danish method. So from one square at a time to the rows where you go back and across. And I think it all fits in pretty well. And I do think that helps you stitch faster because you can stitch different ways to make it match up, your stitching match up, and then not worry at the end about your tension. So I will put that clip in here. See you soon. Okay, so I am stitching the ghost from the Happy Halloween calendar by Tiny Modernist. As you can see at the start, I am now stitching the English method where I'm doing one cross at a time. I have started a new thread and I am trying to match up and get across to my previous stitching where I was doing the Danish method. I have it the fabric scrunched up in my left hand, and then I'm using my right to push it through. I'll go through 2 holes at a time, and it really means that I'm never dealing with the back of the fabric. I'm always at the front, and effectively I'm doing half the amount of stitching because each stitch is only done in 2 pulls, 2 pull-throughs rather than 4 stabs. So I do think it makes me faster. I have flicked over now, and as you can see, I am doing the Danish method. Oh, I had to pull out a tangle there. Danish method, where I'm going back and doing the rows. And I think because I stitch in hand, there's no hoop, there's no setup. If I do have to look at the back of my fabric, for example, the loop start or for a knot, then it's pretty quick to flick back, and you get in a real rhythm with it and kind of fly and off you go. So I finished that row now, and yep, I'm ready for the next row. I'm having a look at my stitching. I think it looks pretty good. I don't think it's too obvious, and especially as it's white, and white is the hardest to see. I think it looks great. Okay, so I hope that helped and gave you a good idea seeing how I actually stitch. This is, where is he? Here we go, the finished ghost. I'm pretty happy with him. I was happy, sorry, it's getting a bit hard to show. I was happy with his white stitching. That's where I was stitching in the video. I thought it looked pretty even and pretty good. I also noticed that I tend to pat each stitch just quickly after I do it. Maybe that helps my tension, I'm not sure. I do know I don't pull too tight, but also not too loose. So it's about finding that sweet spot and what works for you. So yeah, this is how it's looking, and this whole piece was stitched in hand. So finally, I want to talk to you about finishing. So two things. One, how I finish. So currently, I thought I'd show you on my Christmas Wonderland. This is what I'm stitching at the moment, and this is the 32 count Lugana. I have just finished the color of that tree, not the whole tree, there's 2 more colors in it, but that. And I had left the thread hanging, so I could just show you that I like to run the thread under at least 3 stitches. So let's see if we can get it kind of round, and I would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, great. So it's just like that. You can see, I'll pull the needle through, and there we go, I've finished that thread. Now, if it was a normal row, I'd probably just go along it and it wouldn't be so long running it under, but that's okay. I've just cut it there. So you can see that is nice and neat and definitely secure. And that is, okay, that's the tree there. So that is looking pretty good, I think. Yes, I can't wait to finish this one. Hopefully tonight. We'll wait and see. So yeah, the other thing I want to talk to you about was tension. A lot of people say they don't like stitching in hand because they feel that the tension at the end is not as good and they don't frame as well. Now, granted, I haven't done massive pieces and I do frame myself, so I guess I can kind of wiggle it where I need it to be. I'm not getting someone else to frame it for me. But for example, well, actually everything you see behind me has been stitched by hand, but I guess close up, this is Emma Congdon. It is from her cross stitch for the Earth book. Never underestimate the difference you make. This is stitched on linen. It is Zweigart Platinum 28 count, and this was completely stitched in hand. And as you can see, I think the tension is really good. Really good. I really enjoy having it up. I've never thought it looks skewed or anything like that, and I think my stitches lay nicely too. So yeah, even got back stitch there as well, all done in hand. So yeah, really happy with that. I've shown you the other pieces, they were all in hand. I think got some cushions I've done as well. So this was the Tiny Modernist, her Tiny Mouse series. Isn't that lovely? I can't remember the proper name. I'll put it down below in the description. Is it Cake and Mouse or something like that? But I stitched this for my daughter because she loves cake and she loves strawberries and she loves jam and she thought the mouse was really cute. So yeah, this is her pillow. She really liked it, but once again, I think it looks really good. I think the stitching looks fine, even though it's by hand. I don't feel there's like any kind of bumps or bubbles between it. So I'm really happy with that. This was linen again. Actually, this was the same platinum. I must really like platinum. This is 28 count Lugana. So this is a frosted pumpkin stitchery one, berry picking and ice cream licking. And you may have noticed actually I've got a different display behind me. I know Christmas is coming, but we're spring here in Australia, and I thought let's have a few weeks of spring and enjoy it after Halloween. So that's what we're doing. But once again, I think the stitches look good. I don't have any bumps kind of between it, and I do think maybe it's something that also comes with practice. I have stitched a lot, so maybe I've found a way that works for me, and I think you've got to find a way that works for you too. So just the last one, this I guess is a different finish. It's a circle finish I did, which you can hang if you want to. I did it for my husband. It's another Emma Congdon. The best view comes after the hardest climb, and it is from her cross stitch for the Soul book. So yeah, I love her books. And I think because it's white, you can really see it lies quite nice and quite flat. So really happy with that, all done in hand as well. So generally, that is how I stitch fast. That's not to say that I only stitch in hand. My full coverages, I generally stitch in a Q-snap attached to a Lowry frame. I think that's also because they're more process stitches for me rather than product. So I really find that relaxing, kind of just having pattern keeper, knowing what color I'm doing, bringing the thread through. It's kind of gets mindless, and I do like that. So I guess you've got to do what works for you, and also what you need to do. Do you need to get a GIF stitched quickly, or are you on a deadline like my 31 days of Halloween? Or are you someone who, no, cross stitch is simply for relaxation. I really enjoy stitching in a hoop and a frame, so that is what I'm going to use. So yeah, that's, I guess, my takeaway. Do what works for you and what makes you happy, because cross stitch is a hobby that's meant to make you happy. So I think that is everything I had to chat about today. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Let me know, how do you like to stitch? I am interested. Are there a lot of people who stitch in hand too? Do you have different ways of stitching depending on your mood? Or do you just have one way and that's what you use every time? Yeah, I'd really like to know. So thanks again. Take care and happy stitching, and I'll see you again for my next Flosstube update, which I think I might actually film tomorrow. I know it's only been a week, but I'm quite pleased with my progress. So take care, and I'll see you then. Bye.